This is Steven from LegitTechTutorials, and we are on to part number 6 of Java tutorials, and that would be beginning Java 6, which is methods and classes. So now what we're going to do is we are going to mess around with this area here, which is the class area, and what we're going to want to do is create a new class called student, and then we're going to mess around and see what a class is, as well as methods. So we're going to go File, New Class, Student. You're going to go public static main void, and leave everything else the same. It's going to create a new class in here. We're going to take some of the stuff from here, so you see that we have two tabs here, which is what we want to do. So we're going to take some of this stuff and we're just going to integrate it into a class to make it a lot cleaner. So yet again, we're going to go in here, and then we're also going to go in here and take this import java.util, and we're going to paste it in here. So now we're going to go and mess around with something in here. So now what we're going to do is actually we're going to see what an object is, because that's what we're going to, why we're going to write a class, is to create an object. So let's do this here. I'm looking through my resource book here, just with some little things. awt.rectangle. Now we're going to create something of type rectangle. So rectangle box equals new rectangle. So now when you have this here, basically what happens is that it's creating a rectangle of certain sizes and proportions. I'm not completely sure what each of these parameters does, but it's the same thing like scanner. You know, you have scanner, scan equals new scanner system.in, same exact thing, right? Except for here we could do stuff with that. So now it's called box. So now just like when you do scan dot next int, right, you see all that stuff that you could do? Those are methods, and scanner is the name of a class. Same just like rectangle and stuff like that. So we're referring to here, we're referring to the type scanner, and then we're looking through its methods when we hit dot. The dot is saying go to, so go to a method in here, and I want to do something with that method, and you can see all the stuff in there. So now let's see what box has got in there. So you go box dot, and then you can see all the different types of things, you know, and this is return value, returning int, stuff like that. You could it's probably got getters and setters, which we'll talk about later. Here's the gets, and here's the setters. So all different kinds of stuff. So let's say we want to translate, which is move the box. So we go translate, and we do coordinates, and then that will move the box. And then we could also see where the box is. So we're going to do box.get x, the x coordinate, and then it returns an x. If I could write print correctly. Okay, so that's good. So now we're going to run that. And there it shows where the x coordinate is. And that's basically what you have. But as you can see, the class is pretty large to where you could pretty much do whatever you want in there. There's all different kinds of stuff in there. And you could add it just by hitting tab. Just by hitting enter, enter. Right? But that's not, so what we're going to do is we're going to create something of type student. And this is how we're going to do that. So we're going to get rid of everything besides, yeah, get rid of everything. So, and you're going to get rid of the rectangle, because that's not what we're going to use. So first thing off, what you're going to have in here, and I know this is pretty big, right? So first thing you're going to have is you're going to have this stuff here. So you're going to pick out these. You're going to copy these guys here, and you're going to copy these guys, and you're going to put but you're not going to do this yet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do something called a constructor. So we have student. So what you're going to do is we're going to create our first method, but it's going to be called a constructor. So all you have to do is you do student and you have it closed, right? Now this is where you could accept parameters, which we haven't really talked about recently, but something that you know parameters about is system.out.println. It accepts a string, right? You type a string in here. That accepts a parameter, of course, but if I type print correctly. This accepts a string as a parameter, what's called a parameter. It's what you pass in. Now let's talk a little bit about that. So here for student, every student is going to have a first name and last name, right? So here we're also going to have that string first name, string last name. Now, so each student, basically what you have to do here is that you know some sort of defaults. So every student is obviously a person by default, right? Extends a person, right? So they're going to have a first name and a last name. So you're going to say string a first name and string a last name. Now why do I have a? This is just a naming convention just so these two don't match up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set a first name equals what you passed in a first name. And then we have a last name equals, last name equals last name. So now you have a student with a first name and a last name. Oops. And there you go. Now you have a student with the first name and last name, and then you could have, and this is data, right? So this is how you set up data. So, you know, every student has a first name, last name, address, age. You could have all that kind of stuff. You could have like a age and, you know, int age, and then you could say oops, but you have to put int. You have to say what kind it is. So it's passing of type string, is passing of type string, is passing of type int, and that's what you saw in the rectangles there. So you have a age equals a age. Now you have a student with a first name, last name, and age. Now we're gonna go over something called, and this could go on forever. I mean, this could go, you know, however far you want it to go. But remember that you have to enter those in. Now, so what would something like that look like? So let's say we wanted to, it's just like creating a scanner. So you have scanner, scan equals new scanner system.in, right? So we're going to do the exact same thing, except for we're going to create our own student. So we're going to say student, Steven equals new student. And then now we're going to type in what his first name is. So his first name would be Steven. That's passing it in. That's the first part here. And then we're going to type in the second part. We're going to say M. And we're going to type in the last part, which is an age, which is an integer. So we're going to say 20. And there we go. We have no problems, no red lines. It's just saying you haven't done anything with Steven yet. Why do you have it here? Are you crazy? You're just using up resources. And we're going to do something with that here in a second. So now that we got that done, now we could organize and continue on doing methods. Now what is a method? A method is what you saw there when you hit the dot and everything comes down. It's an action that's put into a container that's called a method. So all you do is call the method and it does everything you want. So for example, let's say we're going to do int get age. And now here's the camel caps. So when you do a method, the first letter is lowercase and the last letter is uppercase. So now we're going to continue this. Yeah, so it says add a return statement. So this is, I'll explain what a return statement is in a second. So we're going to say return age. Now, what we're going to ask Steven to do is we're going to say system.out.println Steven.getAge. And there it is. There's our method. And there you go. Now it said, now we passed in 20, created a Steven of 20. And there you go, there's your 20. And if we change it here, we got 21. So there you go. There's your first method. And now, so for example, and then a setter would be void set age, and then you're going to say int age. And you're going to do exactly how you did it in the constructor, which is this guy up here is what you use to construct the object. You're going to say age equals age. And now it's different. So now let's say I don't want to, let's say I grew a year older, right, in that period of time. So we're going to do Steven.set age int age, which we're going to say 22. Now it's going to go from 21 to 22, and there you go. So now you have a getter here and a setter here. Now let's say we want to do some sort of computing, and here we have all our computing. So we're going to have another one that says void calculate. So we're going to do lowercase calculate GPA. Doesn't pass anything in, and then we're going to go in here and we're going to pull all this. But we're going to separate it out a little further after we get it in here. So we're also going to do a void add grade. Which is going to be most of the stuff here. Actually, all of it. So we're going to say add grade, and it's missing continuing. So we're just going to do string continuing equals go. And of course you could polish this up to make it a lot cleaner. This isn't too clean, but... And then we need a string grade. And we need to create a scanner. A new scanner system.in. Alright, so, and there we go. So now we got, here we got everything here. The while loop, the if loop. So you add the grades, and then the calculate grades is going to be GPA equals grade points divided by total grades. And there you go. And there you have calculate GPA. So let's say in this case we're just going to return a double value. So here we're going to say return GPA. And there you go. So now they're both in methods, right? This is not in the main. Here's the main here, which we could enter this out. So let's say we don't want to set the age, and we want to go Steven.add grade. Now we tell it to add grade, and then we're going to say Steven.calculate GPA. Sorry, 2 caps. Alright, and there we go. Now it should do whatever we have in here. I don't know. So we got A, go, B, go, C, A, B, C, go, D, go. And there you go. That's right there. 3 lines in the main. We went from this many to 3 lines. And now we can store different types of data. Now let's say I want to have another dude. So Paul equals new student. And we're going to say Paul K, and he's 25. So now basically what's going to happen here is, what did I do wrong? Oh, I spelled println wrong. Now what's going to happen here is that when I execute this, we're going to say A, go, and then B, and then fail it. I accidentally went through so right here, let's say after this while loop, we say okay, so now we're going to say enter your grade A, go, B, and fail it. Finish entering your grade. Now we're entering in the grade for Paul. So we're going to say C, go, D, fail it. There, now we have 2 separate GPAs. But it's going to show interesting. It's supposed to show mine first. Oh, I switched them. See, they're switched here. So here's Paul's first. Yeah, so Steven was the second one. Yeah, so I accidentally switched them here, right? So this is correct. It basically entered in my grade as a lower grade was the second part, this D and C, and the other part was the other part. So it's correct. It's all working. And now, as you can see, we could reuse the code without going through line and line and line, because otherwise we have to do it twice. Once for me, once for my instance of the object, and then another time for another instance of the object. But now we have it all in one, so we could create as many students as we want. And this is big data. This is what servers are. You're just creating more objects of that particular type of object that you're looking for. Similar to like a car. A car has a make, a model, a year, right? So those are obvious. Those are the defaults. So you create an object like that. And whether it's a sedan, a coupe, an SUV, convertible, whatever, truck. So that's what you would have inside something like this, right? And you could continue going, right? Or you could have it have less information or more information if you create more constructors. For example, I could have a student that's just empty. It's empty. There's nothing in there. There you go. Student with nothing in there. It's empty. It's got nothing, right? But of course, you know, nobody's got nothing, so. So let's talk about return types a little bit. So basically, if you return, you could do something like this, right? Because this accepts a string. Or you could store it as you could say int temp, and then you could say go down here. You could say like Steven temp equals Steven dot calculate GPA. Right? Except for in this case it's a double. So I need to make this guy a double. And there you go. That's perfectly fine because it returns a type of double. It returns whatever you see here. And if it says void, it's not returning anything, it's doing some sort of action. So here we're just setting, right? When this is returning, it's the same thing as this. This is a getter and this is a setter. So setter, you have void and you have something in the parameters. Getter, you have nothing in the parameters and you're returning of whatever type this is. In this case, age is an int. So you're going to return int. And then here we have our while loop inside add grade. And of course you would continue going on. You would have set age, set GPA, get GPA, all that kind of stuff. You would have a getter. Usually you have a getter and setter for every value here. So you can see that takes a while, right? You have get set grade, get set continuing, get set GPA, get set total grades, get set grade points, get set age, get set first name, get set last name. And on and on. So it continues on and you're basically building a file system. In this case, what this is called a data structure. And so you would have something like this, right? So you could recursive go through these methods and reuse them to create multiple types of objects. And now I'm looking at what so I guess I'm gonna do another problem solving with this to continue your knowledge because it's not enough in just this one. And so I'll probably end it here, and then we'll do another type of problem solving next one, or I might move on. We'll see. I'm probably going to do that. Yes. So we'll do some type of problem solving. And then to further your knowledge in here, because the first one is not the best, and just going over it once is definitely not good enough. We need to continue going over it. And notice also one more thing, that this file and this are the same thing. They have to be that. They got to be the same exact thing. So this has been Steven from LegitTechTutorials, and stay tuned for number, what is it already now? 7. So we're going to go over that, and then we're going to continue on and work towards getting our understanding more further of these methods in class, because this is what we're going to continue doing. This is very important. This is what it's all centered around: data and creating objects. So I'll see you next video, and thanks for watching, and subscribe for more series like these and for the next video. Thanks.